Divine instructions don't make sense. Or let me put it this way. Permit me to use it this way. God doesn't make sense at times. God does his greatest work in the moment of crisis, uncertainties, and chaos. Welcome to the secret place. My name is Emmanuel. God does his greatest work in the dark room. I noted somewhere I will write a book on the dark room. The dark room. A photographer reveals his genius and creativity in the dark room. If you want to see the creativity of a photographer, you go to the dark room. So God does his greatest work in the dark room. In the seasons of uncertainties and chaos and crisis, when you think you don't understand him, that is when he does the greatest work for you. If you know exactly what to do part time in your life, you won't need God. So you need God for the moments of crisis and uncertainties. For the seasons that you are confused, that is when God works the most. You see, God was telling me something some weeks ago. He told me, he said, when I want to do a work in the life of a man, I create confusion. I never knew that. He said, I create confusion to distract people, to distract the devil. So when I create that confusion, people will focus on the confusion and I do what I want to do in the life of the man. I never knew that. The scripture that comes to mind is Romans 8:28. For we know that all things work together for good, for those who love God, for those who are called according to his purpose. So when you are going through certain crises in life and chaos and moments you can't even explain to anybody, God does his greatest work in the dark room. When you don't understand him, that is when he's working for you. I just want to do a brief video on divine instructions. Don't make sense. It doesn't make sense to understand, to walk with God. I gave my life to Christ quite early. I think I was 15 or 16 then when I gave my life to Christ way back in Africa. And I will share some experiences with you, briefly. Every step I took that advanced my life forward came through a divine instruction. And that divine instruction at that moment didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. When I went to my mother some years ago and I told her, God said he's taking me to the United States, my mother said, go back to your job. Out of love for, the mother's love. She said, go back to your job. You don't know what you're saying. But I heard God. 3 times in my life, I closed my account and gave out my savings to men of God. Maybe 4 times. It didn't make sense to give out all that I saved to men of God. It didn't, with tears in my eyes, I was crying. It didn't make sense. God will never ask you to do something that is easy. And he will never tell you to do something that makes sense the first time. Abraham, the father of faith, God told him, take your son, your only son, whom you love, and I will show you a mountain where you will sacrifice him. The only son he waited for all those years. And God emphasized and told him, the one that you love. I'm not talking about Ishmael. I'm talking of Isaac, the one that you love. I will show you a mountain. You go there and kill your only son that you've been waiting for. And he took the only son and went on a 3-day journey up the mountain to sacrifice him. It didn't make sense. It didn't make sense. God will never tell you to do something that makes sense. Oh, there is somebody listening to me. Relocating to another place won't make sense. And God told Abraham, leave your father's house, and I will show you a place. No roadmap. When you are going through crisis in life, there is no roadmap. God won't tell you where you're going. This word is for somebody. There is somebody listening to me right now. You are confused. You are in a dark room of your life, and you don't know the way forward. See, God does his greatest work when you are confused. If you know the way forward, you wouldn't need God. Faith is for the dark moments. Faith is for the dark, uncertain moments. So God will create the confusion and create the crisis and raise some dust to distract people. So they will focus on the crisis and God will focus on you and start doing his work. So people will focus on the crisis, focus on the confusion. The enemy, the Bible says, when the devil shall rise up like a flood, the Spirit of God will raise up a standard. God will distract Satan and focus on you, to work on you. There are moments in your life God will ask you to do something stupid. It didn't make sense. I've gone to work several times. I remember I was working somewhere, I think 4 years ago, 3 years ago. And as I entered the hospital, God spoke to me and he said, your time here is expired. And I wasn't in any trouble. I wasn't on any suspension. There was no issue. I just came to work. He said, your time here has expired. I pretended I didn't hear him. And I went on to work. That was when I got into trouble. And he, opened another way for a better job. When God is asking you to do something, go ahead and do it. People don't have to understand you. You don't even have to understand God. Let me tell you, most of the things that I did that helped me in life, I didn't understand. I went ahead to do it. Okay, God, you said I should close this account and give out the whole money. Fine, I'm going to the bank right now. That is it. That is it. Okay, God, you said I should quit this job. Fine, I'm resigning immediately. God will never ask you to do something that makes sense. It doesn't make sense to relocate to a place you've never been to. It doesn't make sense to disappoint people who love you and trust you. Divine instructions doesn't make sense, but they carry your miracle. Divine instructions will never make sense. That is why there was a video I did some days ago about choosing your inner circle, making covenant friends, being careful how you bring people around your life into your inner caucus, because when you are going through confusions and crises and dark room, you need covenant people in the dark room. Everybody should not enter your dark room. This word is for somebody. I don't know why I'm doing this video. See, everybody should not enter your dark room. Your dark room is the moment of confusion when you don't understand God, you don't understand what is going on. You don't bring people into your life casually at that moment. You should guard your life at that moment, because people will be speaking. Several people will be saying so many things. So you have to be careful what you are hearing at that moment. God will create confusion to distract the devil so he can focus on you. Trust God when you are going through confusion, crisis, chaos, because he's doing his greatest work when you don't understand him. That is when to trust him. My name is Emmanuel. I love you.